Morning. Happy Thursday. If it's a happy day for you, might not be. Hey, I turned you down. There, you turn yourself back up. There we go. What in the hell? Alright, hang on. Having a damn it. All right. So all hindsight, all hindsight. Right. This was Globex, so 6 p.m. open. That's what this was. Excuse me. Prior to that, you had your PM session as well mixed in here. But in particular for Globex, which actually kind of also materialized in London, you had kind of like a combination of two things. So for, let's see, what time is that? 4:15. So you would have had your low, and then obviously the 6 p.m. Globex open, which was a hot, or not hot, well, that within that time frame, you would have had that high, and then this was an intermediary low within this range. Excuse me, you take out the high into London. And then London kind of sets up similar circumstance, slightly different, just from a structural narrative, where it gives you a clear low, then this high that doesn't take, is that around 2? That is around 2. Yeah, and like I said, you could consider it hindsight if you want, but it's one of the reasons why I had this area marked off. I was curious to see if price was actually going to come back in here, and it came back in here pre-New York though. So again, I'll say it's easy to say now looking back, but I don't anticipate any shorts anytime soon, with the exception, well, and I have to be careful because tomorrow's NFP, but just based on a longer term projection, I don't see it. Doesn't mean we can't get a retracement, or an area under which we move back into like a discount range in the PD array, but overall, if you just wanted to look at something like a low, a high, and then a lower low, if you just look, like literally, that's the overall structural narrative, right? And then back into this area that I've been looking at from yesterday. And then this morning, I couldn't get here, so I'm not gonna lie to myself, definitely wasn't gonna lie to you guys. And I think for those of you that follow me, we've been in the live streams together, I don't just dabble in the bullshit of, oh, this would have But I was looking at this as basically like just an order block. I'm not going to BS you. I was looking at this like an order block. And the reason that I was looking at it that way before I got here, I was looking on my phone, is I was just trying to get an idea. I knew we had jobless claims this morning, and this is the 8:30 candle on a day where we have jobless claims and continuing jobless claims, like the revision, and that's what we got. And then we just got this, right? So prior to that, it was kind of looking at the overall, or what would have been considered an overall before the open. So if we were just looking pre 8:30, probably would have looked a little something like this is a clear low and then this is the clear high. So it's literally a doji. Argument could be made that the 825 technically did, but if the 830 was, the candle that was going to determine high low, I'm again, that's why I said hindsight, take it for whatever you want to take it for. You're probably stuck with this doji as your high low, right? So we clear the 830. But now if I'm looking at like a pre 930 open, like what could it reach back into and for? Well, this became like a mitigated area from the pre 830. So that would have been a low. And then this 9 a.m. candle would have been the high. And the thought was the short before the long. Hang on one second, guys. All right, sorry. Okay, so yeah, high low. So the consideration is, initially, I'm not gonna, again, just gonna tell you what I was looking at was maybe we take the high and then we do, like Judas comes out on Thursday to play. Like we take this high, then we sweep this low, and then I was like, okay, so what could it reach for if it's not just this? Right back into here. That's the only reason. I was just looking for some, like, if it's taking this, how much further can it run? And my logic was, you've already come here, so don't really think that you're coming all the way back down there. I don't think. Don't know. Don't think so. So this would have been a reasonable potential target, which is why, again, just thinking stuff out. Just thinking it out. Now this is the 930, which means that, again, at some point in the future, this low is, I don't want to say vulnerable. I'll just say that it is a target. It would be a target, which we might actually see get run right now. That's a horrible ray. Yeah, here it comes. Smack it like you mean it. Smack it. What was the... I actually want to look at the report real quick while this is doing what it's doing. So it just makes all the more irregular sense. So the initial jobless claim was 208,000. That was a previous. The consensus was 213, and we came in with a net positive of 6,000 more. So it was worse than what was anticipated, 219,000. Now, how you would interpret that in terms of the reaction from the market, the way you determine that is, the higher the number, it's negative. So you see price go down. So NASDAQ would essentially go down. That came out at 8:30. You got a doji. Okay. So we didn't get anything. So as far as the 4 excuse me, the 4-week average and the continuing, and those are kind of combined. So I wouldn't spend too much time looking at the 4-week average. That was greater. That was negative too. Excuse me. What I would look at is probably the continuing, because this is going to be basically like the revised from January, right? So the previous was 1858. Okay. 1858. Excuse me. The consensus, excuse me. Excuse me. Consensus was 1870. What we ended up with, 1886. Again, that's a net positive of 16,000 more. So again, the higher the number, it's a negative reflection. It's negative. Now you will get another revision to the continuing next week. We'll literally get another revision to this number, to this 1886 number, in a week. There's just something hokey going on. It's just there's something like, I'm just looking and like the sentiment and the price not matching up, and the technical aspects of price now are not in line with what's going on. Now you can make the argument and say, well, there are things that are going on that are not typical, that are atypical of government right now. So that could be the reason that there seems to be like this disconnect between the fundamental numbers and the technical aspects of what's being delivered and what we see. That could be the case. Here's all I'm gonna say. And I'm gonna mark this back out. if we see something, if we see a closure below these levels, and I'm not saying like it's the end all be all or anything like that, I'm not, but unless we're coming down here to grab this PM sell side and resume our longs, I'm gonna be even more skeptical about even what's to come next week in terms of getting back into positions and into my combine and whatnot. And I'm probably going to start looking at legitimately taking a lot more off session electronic trade hour positions that seem to be moving. Like, even if I have to kind of adapt maybe a scalping model, because as we've grown to adopt a new saying, the math is not mathing. It's not, some of this is just not for the masses. This is not supposed to make sense, which is why we're in the space, and most people think that we're crazy for being here. But yeah. So again, the two scenarios: come in and take this out and resume along. Come in, you could come down into here if you need to and resume the long, or you can come down here and soup out the PM and resume longs. If we don't get a resumption long, I don't know. I can't threaten, because who am I? I mean, come on, guy. But clear low, clear high. Did we get a lower low? What do we get, boo boo? Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, so we've tapped back into this area, but we've not cleared this low. So like I said, I actually want to see 930 cleared out. We're beyond also one thing to note, which I would take a position on in my PA, we're beyond the initial balance time frame as well. So it's 1049. So let's see. Yeah, so that would require us to come all the way back down here. If I wanted to use like a 4-hour candle as a predicate for long, we would have to come back down here, because this is going to be the low of that 6 a.m. 4-hour candle. It's going to be here, and the high is here, I believe. Yeah, high is here. That was bad, but what do you know from funny? Yeah. So, anybody want some soup? That's a soup. in the process. So we could soup out both sides. But hang on. Would you look at that? We may not. I know y'all are like, didn't you just say? I did. What is that level? 21,77825. Let's go back down. A closure back above could look for longs. Anything down here, not really interested in anything down here unless it's a buy. If it runs if it runs short, it's just short. And like obviously, like we're not doing anything of any significance or consequence outside of just read some practice positions, if you will. But it's if it runs, it runs. But we're looking for structural narratives below to encourage longs. I'm kind of even with this here, right? We'd have to see basically a sweep or soup back up, and like I said, a closure above this level. And what you saw me do on the 4-hour was just to kind of confirm like a higher time frame order flow, which may very well indicate we'd have to get back above this level for continued longs, and anything in and around here could be subject to continued short or continued accumulation. So I don't know. There's also an order block that this is reacted, like this price is reacted to off of that 4-hour, a bearish engulfing or a bearish order block. So let's see, because we did tap back in here, but we didn't take 930. So let's see if we close above here. I can get rid of some of this stuff on here, like this and that, and this can go too. Don't need those. And again, interesting, reacts right there. And that that's basically the mean threshold for that area I was looking at off of the 4 hour. So let's see what we get. Where is my okay. So we've got a little under 2 minutes for this candle to close. I don't even know what I'll do is I'll use my long short tool, and I realize it really is of no consequence, but it's good practice to get in the habit of not just being arbitrary, saying, hey, it did, so let's just see. But I was going to say, if we get the closure above, if we get a body closure above, we could use the long short and see if we can take out the most recent high here. And then if it closes back inside, again, like I said, there's nothing, literally there's nothing to do. So we got a minute left for this candle to close. And the stop, with this being the down close, yeah, that's it would be too wide for me. Because I would want my stop, let's just say if it closed there, I'd want my stop here at a minimum. That is what, 55, 56 handles. It's a little too rich for my blood. All right, and candle closure, and it's below. So again, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. The only benefit, like if you were trying to look at, okay, well, what good is going to come from this? The only good would be that this 930 gets mitigated, right? Because technically, if you look at the 930 candle, we've closed inside. Since we've closed inside here, we've not come back above there. You've had basically I would say an equal high in terms of a wick, but you really haven't had that. So we've closed inside the 930. So, excuse me, could you anticipate if we don't break back above, we clear this out? That would be the one thing that I would say, okay, I could look to see if that happens. That at least gives me at least the confidence to think that we're not coming back down here later this afternoon to do it after moving away. But if we move up, that's a possibility that we come back down at some point to take this. And we're rolling into the lunch hour. So could this be taken at the lunch hour? Possibly. Could it be taken into the early PM session, depending on what price decides to do? It could be. So there's a little bit too much, dare I use the word, randomness in what's going on here. This is a nice pop. Chills. Boom, boom. I know, I hear you asking. I hear it without seeing it. Would I consider taking the long now if it closes above? I'd still be apprehensive. At this point, I would really be apprehensive. And you could say, well, what's the difference between now and like up 5 or 10 minutes ago? 5 or 10 minutes ago, you would have let me know before 11 o'clock, before basically like the UK close. You would kind of give me an indication that it's going to provide some sort of expansion, right? Which, again, this may be doing now, and it might just be delayed for whatever reason. But the longer I do this and the more I kind of see things in my own way, which sometimes are very beneficial and other times they to my detriment, that I see things and ask questions. But especially when we go into the lunch hour or shortly there before, I like to see some kind of displacement. Show me a fair value gap, or show me an area in which, there's a very small area, a small inefficiency. Show me something. When we have a morning like this morning, right? And yeah, you can kind of pick them out. Like, here's 1, there's 2, here's 3. On the other side, that's 4. You could say, yeah, well, they appear, but maybe just not the way that you want. It's not about what I want. It's also looking at how the structure is developed. So you could say from back here, we would have had structure that would have been indicative to say we should anticipate and maybe potentially get along. And even if you were trying to be short-sighted about a position and you're not looking, you're not targeting the moon, you could target this high. But the problem with targeting that high is when you look at this inter-range structure, you see something else, right? From this area, we have a high, you got a low, you got a higher high, and now you have this clearing this low. And this is signaling lower price. There's your fair value gap. This is the run back into that, right? Through the consummate encroachment, but the body closure is damn near at the low of the area of fair value that's been created. But we only get here. we do come back into this area, and these are like relative equal lows. So again, my school of price action, my price action book says relative equal lows, this is a target to be run. So it kind of goes back to that whole, what's the difference between now and 5 minutes ago? 5 minutes ago, I might have looked at this and said, okay, if I get expansion, we might not be looking to do this right now. It doesn't mean it won't come back this afternoon, but right now we probably won't. If we hang out here, lunch hour, you're going to create liquidity. You're probably going to come take this out and then run. So that's why I say, when you ask, well, what about now? Why not now? That's why not. I would just sit on my hands. It's even worth, in a time like this saying, okay, this is already shown that it's going to hold, right? Because this is now basically an intermediary protected high until this breaks, or until you have supporting structure that is showing a willingness to displace and then also reaccumulate, come and take and acquire more short liquidity to at least run this high out, and then kind of, do the same thing again until it can, expand away from this area. But as long as we get stuff like this, yeah, I'm not sold. And that's your buy and sell side, by the way. So while you would, it's price delivery is is short leaning, or maybe more indicative of lower price, there is no urgency, as you can see, for price to continue lower. So yeah, it's kind of foolish, in a manner of speaking, to even consider a position right now, because in all intents and purposes, again, this is 9:30. So if I wanted to just do something very basic, I could just do this. Where is it? There. This could literally end, because that's what it is now. Excuse me. At your sell side, and yeah, 100%. We're still in the initial balance. There's nothing to do. Like, absolutely nothing to do. That's what you got. And then again, in this particular instance, while, mathematic probability and percentage is not on the side of taking one side's liquidity and attacking or looking for the opposing to be run, this is one of those situations. You take the sell side, I'm looking for you to attack and take out the buy side, and I'm looking for you to continue to run long. Or subsequently, we take out the sell side, right? Which again is a stronger confluence for higher price. It would be, in my opinion. You look for something like this. This can push and probably create. Okay, well, hang on for a sec. Hang on. Because what are we doing? Okay, so it's doing the same thing we did last night in Asia. So there's your high, right? Here's your higher low. Here's your lower high. Okay. Here's your lower low. Here's probably printing in this area, because you can clearly see that's a high with these two candles, right? So we're probably in the process of creating another lower high, possibly, and then a higher low. Yeah, I took those levels off, but I was looking at that last night too. We literally just built the liquidity that was set to be run, and I'm trying to see if you can see that in here. Yeah, you can. I don't know what I had. Oh, I had the path tool, but I took that off. Yeah, while this is expanding up, so now we're getting some expansion in here, but again, not sold. But just in case you're just like, he didn't know what the fuck he's talking about. What the fuck is he talking about? This is what I'm talking about. We had what's going on right now happen last night. Prior to Asia, it is expanding now, but we had it from the high that was established at 7. Look at the price action. There's a high, there's your higher low, there's your lower high, right? All the way back into this area, there's another low. Here's a higher low. Here's a lower low. Here's another higher low. And there's your low. And then we get this move back up, right? Or if you want to look at it from the perspective of a low, a high, and then a lower low, which comes back in here. You could look at, you could take one, you could take both of these. You could literally just take the last down, and I know it depends on your order block theory. You could take the last one and say, okay, well, we close back inside, or you could take the last two if you're considering the entire range, but then you're, what you're doing, even if you grab this candle, it's not really invalid. You're just making your range or your area of interest larger, but what you're doing is your invalidation is still here. So even if you wanted to grab that candle, there's no harm in that. If you grab it, you're going to get to the CE right here, but again, personal perspective and what you see and all of that. But my point being, we created all of this liquidity here on the buy side and then slowly ran it out, right? So this was a turn. We ran some of these highs, and the thought is, well, are you stopping here? Or are you going to run them all out? And we got the 10, another, basically another small retracement. And then we did run it all out. So fast forward to now, what are we doing? So we'll see. So 11:10 candle closes in about 30 seconds. This could be the first area of fair value that we see. So yeah, this could expand up and move away, and at that point we could see this buy side taken. But then you're going to be waiting to see what structure delivers. And then this is 11:14. So there are like a couple of things right now that you could look at. You could look at the fact that we've been back and forth, and today, this New York AM session hasn't really given you a clear directive on, once we get to 11:30, 11:40, going into the lunch hour, it's not going to give you a clear area in which price is going to run on liquidity. Why? Because it's running on it now. It's been running on it the entire morning, where a lot of times you'll have the accumulation, you'll build liquidity on one side, it'll run to the opposing side through the AM session, and then it'll retrace a portion of that before either continuing or completely reversing. Here, you're again, we're stuck in the middle of the initial balance. So unless you're going from 5 to 1 minute, and I know some people will pick the intermediary ranges, right? Some people will do that and very successful at it, at reading price. If you can, great. If not, and you're looking for something that's clearly telling you which way, you're waiting for this, or you're already biased one way and you're just kind of waiting for, those directional footprints to kind of show you that yes, that this is what we're getting ready to do. Let's look at the 15 real quick. Excuse me. So again, from a candle range perspective, purely from a candle range perspective, this high might be under attack. This one here. And that might be under attack because we've closed inside. So that's actually the 1030 candle. That's the 15-minute candle that defined 1030. So the 1045 candle cleared the low, closed back inside. This 11 AM candle opened inside and is now running this candle range. So we could be targeting this high, which is here. So in a situation like this, the stop is here. If you hopped in, your stop would be here. So this is just kind of like one of the examples where, like I said, if somebody is wanting to, excuse me, just for the sake of getting in, which is not always a good thing, but if somebody was just suggesting and saying, hey, look, I want to trade the interterm movements, the interterm price action, that's one of the ways. Like candle range will allow you to do that once you're able to kind of see what the flow and what the alignment is. So, yeah. But like I said, even if you were able to spot it earlier, if we saw it earlier, I probably could have pointed it out, but you're not really going to know. So this candle was basically these two candles provide the soup, if you will. So this bearish and this bullish candle. So the closure below and then this closure inside lets you know this low has been souped, right? This candle doesn't really give you concrete that it's going. This one really doesn't. This probably would have been the earliest candle where you could have said, okay, it's possible, right? And at this entry point, your stop probably would have been below this doji candle. But ideally, it would be below this low. So could get an entry back in here into fair value, or right at the entrant, right at what would be the entry for setting this area of fair value, because you may not get a movement back to mean threshold, because the intermediary price doesn't have to it doesn't have to pair price, it doesn't have to balance price, because it's an in between. It's not, it's designed to leave inefficiencies because it's accumulating or it's getting ready to distribute. So it's done on purpose, so you may not get it. I think I'm just gonna put this up. Yeah. All right. So this is the tug of war between two potentials, right? What would look like the order flow shorts being in from this, right? A clear high. If you wanted to look at these two candles as an engulfing, you could look at it that way. This wick back in to confirm lower price, and then within this same candle, from a candle range perspective, you'd be looking for it to be potentially run out. Doesn't mean it has to take the high, but it could just take the candle range high. Okay. So we got a minute before the 11:20 candle closes, and we start on 11:25. But honestly, as it stands right now, like, I don't really see a position to get into. I'll reiterate what I'd said previously, which is my opinion, not fact, not financial advice. My opinion is that we would be long, we'd be bullish. But in this specific situation, in this specific area in price, there's nothing to do. If you were fortunate enough to be able to take a pre-New York open position back here, great. I would err and say sit, just be patient, and maybe, I mean, you're already in a significant amount of profit, even if you're still holding at this point, even after this retracement and then this short advancement back inside an initial balance range. Move your stop to break even, take a little off, and let the rest run, whatever your prerogative is. But nothing to do until this initial balance gets resolved. Nothing to do. So rather than waste you all's time, I'm probably going to hop off. I'm going to continue to look at what sets up and price delivery and everything else. Tomorrow, probably be back to do another live session. It'll be another tape read. It'll be after NFP. I'll probably get here about the same time tomorrow as I did today. And we'll go through some stuff. And then tomorrow afternoon or evening, I just have to figure out how I want to do it. If we don't do the live tomorrow for NFP, maybe we'll do a live later in the evening, and then we could just do a weekly recap and look at next week. Might be the better thing to do. But yeah, we could look at it and approach it that way. So not going to take too much more of you guys' time. So I appreciate you for tuning in with me today. I'll see you back. Happy trading, stay profitable, stay safe, and see you next time.